working on saying hi to everybody on the mic.
And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle. And now, here's Renny.
Good morning. What's up?
There we go. Hey, that was the first time I think we waited until the guy was totally done with his intro.
We did. I'm a slow learner. It's okay. I always tell people with ADD, it takes me about 10 times. On the 11th time, I've got it for life.
There you go. The 11th time. I'll remember that.
The 11th time, I'm good to go. Yeah. So I like the shirt.
Oh, I figured I would support one of my local detailers here in Reseda. So, Mr. Miyagi, he's still at it, I think. Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, I like that. I like that shirt. So good morning, everybody. Sarah, good morning. Nate, what's up, buddy? Pete, good to see you.
We're going to see Pete this weekend.
I know. Is that cool or what? WR, I hope you're having a good day, too. We are. I was up pretty late. We got up really early. Just had a lot of stuff to take care of. And, hey, Andrew, we're taking and keep your brother in the prayers, dude. I took a couple seconds quiet time right before we came on, and I hope he keeps improving. Those numbers keep coming up. But, it's another point, man. Everybody's always, everybody looks at people. You don't know the battles people are going through. Especially some people are quiet about it. And, here's a family. We lost somebody really important to me last Friday. But, be gentle with people, man, because you just don't know the battles they're going through, And I look at Andy and, it's his family's, going through some stuff, right? And we just need to learn to be patient with each other. And I'm guilty of that too, but, just be patient because people are always, they're facing stuff, they're facing stuff. So, yeah. Are we having a hot tub in the booth at Mobile Tech? Oh, God. I can only imagine who that is. Ultimate Detail, hello. Clayton, good morning. Retro, good morning. A lot of good people on here. So this morning, we're going to take and talk a little bit before Chris goes into what's going on last week and this week, talk about allergic to logic. And, logic is a two-sided coin when it comes to business. And there's so many people taking the logic coin, and it's a double-sided trick coin. Is that you either paint a rosy picture, with rose-colored glasses on, or you just procrastinate to no end. It's logic's something that I believe that you develop. I think people have got gut instinct. Some people call it a good gut instinct, and some people have, I think, an ability to build that up maybe a little sooner in life. But I don't think you're born with it. I think it's developed. So we're going to talk about that, what logic means. The definition of it is the study of correct reasoning. It includes both formal and informal logic. So if you think about that for a second, put it in the perspective of business and life, because we don't talk just about business on this thing. We talk about realities of life, which a lot of people don't talk about, and I don't know if it's popular. I don't care. I'm not here to have a popular podcast and make people fake smile and all that shit. Is we're gonna say it as it is. From my perspective, I always like to say, my saying to students, my kids, people I work with, soldiers is, listen, we're going to make suggestions. You're going to have to make decisions. And so it's no different on this podcast. Is you're going to hear stuff that you dig and you make a decision to kind of take action on it, or you don't. So as simple as that. So Chris, last week we had an awesome week. Our last 5-day training of the year was here.
Yeah. In fact, I have a little show and tell here. There we go. So there's a picture of everybody. Yeah. But we had a good time. It was our last class, 2022. We had Chris Tabieros and Michael Hill came out as interns. Had 3 different guys from what was it? The Atlanta, Georgia area, including Brian Crosby from Detail Link. So, and then we had Ramiro Torres, if I remember his last name right. Now I got to go through the 150 names in my head, but he came to us from Oakland. So
yeah, he's a cool dude. We've met Ramiro and his family several times up at PNS events up at the headquarters. We'll see him this weekend.
Yeah, and he's a regular on our podcast too.
He is. He's just a good guy. He's just got such a great outlook, and we've had some deep discussions about business, deep dives, and we just the young man, 20, was he? How old was he? How old was Ryan?
Oh, like 22.
Yeah, I knew
the one laying across the table there. He was 22.
Exactly. And there's a reason why he's up there, because we teased him nonstop and had a lot of fun. He took it. But great class, a lot of knowledge, a lot of sharing, a lot of fun, a lot of good food, a lot of gifts. You can see those little bags there. So
Ramiro is on us.
Yeah, Ramiro, there you are, man. There you go. So, yeah, and then this weekend we're heading up. Oscar, yourself, and myself are driving up to. We're having a first of its kind, and you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so this is the first. You've been teasing a little bit about what you've been working on, but we are. Here, let me hide this part so you can see the whole thing. There we go. So we are doing our very first Coffee, Coatings, and Profits event up in Hayward. We're doing the first one at PNS headquarters. This is a detailing success event. We're going to have another one in January down in Southern California at Uber Detail. And then at the end of January, right after Mobile Tech, we're going to be doing a third one of these at William Lara's shop, Miami Lux, which is a local detail supply shop up there. And so we'll be doing one there too.
Yep. So NorCal, SoCal, Miami. We'll probably bring another one to the East Coast at some point this spring, maybe during Mafia weekend or something like that. We'll figure that out. So we'll try to get one up in the Northeast and spread them around a little bit. But the goal of this one is to take and talk about truths of coatings and some new, fresh ideas of coatings. We were on a call yesterday. I can't let the cat out of the bag, but some couple fellow professionals in the industry being interviewed. And man, the stuff that we laid down, these guys, just listening to them, I mean, it's cool to see how things are changing, but, it's not cool to see how things are changing. The economy's getting a little tougher. I think a lot of people are starting to see it and feel it a little bit. Seems like everybody's keeping their nose above water so far, so that's good. But we're going to talk about how to make sure you do that. And it's really about mindset and new ideas. And again, suggestions, so.
Yep.
So then Monday, this coming Monday, we've got a really cool event. We started a program last year, and this year we just didn't keep up with it for various reasons. But we started doing these dinner with detailers events here in Southern California. And so we're doing a Christmas dinner with detailers on Monday night at Uber Detail in Corona, California. So entries $5 to get in, but I do believe, what do you get when you get to the door? When you sign up,
oh,
Chris?
they're giving you a pint of bead maker. It's worth $12. So the $5 is really just to get your commitment and make sure that you really want to be there, and you're not just saying you're going to be there and not show up. That's all. But yeah, bottle of bead maker for everybody in attendance, and it's actually I've been told it's going to have a custom Uber Detail label on it.
Oh, cool. Well, that's kind of fun, huh? So
yep.
So, hey, let's talk about various forms of logic from my perspective. And again, my perspective, Chris is going to jump in here, that I think that logic is a growing skill set and a growing knowledge base. I think your brain starts to expand on it, not only as we age, but the experiences. And that's why it's so important to go out and get different experiences in life, not just in business, but in life. When you learn new things, and you can bring new things into perspective from other things, your brain's starting to learn things, and it stimulates. And I don't care what age you're at. I don't care if you're a teenager or you're older. It doesn't matter. Keep learning. So these are the different categories of logic as I kind of see it. Is no logic. Is that, there's just some people out there that they just don't have any logic. And it's kind of, I met an individual yesterday, and I could tell upon meeting this person at an age to where they should have logic, and you could tell there's just very little logic going on. And it's kind of sad because they don't even see it and they have no idea. But people with a pretty solid logic base, we can spot that. Then there's sold on everything logic. That means just, you see, we all have, friends or family member that just jump from idea to idea and never do a single thing. Is they've been, they're tied to their career. They're going to start this business. They're going to start that one. They go maybe into multi-level marketing. They go from this to this to this to this to this, but nothing ever gets traction. Listen, ideas are great. I'm one of them. I throw 1,000 a day out. I have to cancel out 999 of them myself before I even open my mouth. That's good, but not getting any traction with them. That's not. Hopeful logic. Now, hopeful logic, that's kind of cool. Because I call this like a kind of an innocent logic. Is hopeful logic is, you're hopeful something's going to happen, but you're starting to use logic, but you haven't really gotten to the point where you know it yet. So you're hopeful, everything. I don't like hope. I really don't. I mean, it's cool for some people, but I hope this works. Oh God, it rubs me wrong. I'm going to make it work out, or it's going to fail. It's just the way that I roll. Limited logic. This is when you're starting to, maybe you're young or you're new into something. Give an illustration. Let's see. Let's give you a good something good. So overlanding. Diane and I've been camping since I was a little kid. I've got half a century of damn camping in. Right, camping's not new, but this whole overlanding thing, and you want to take creature comforts, but you only have so much room, and so we're learning. Is that we've got limited logic and then kind of youthful logic mixed into that because we're so new to it. But it's kind of fun because the things that I am strong logically on are playing off and helping me tremendously. So I'm growing by leaps and bounds. So I'm taking my search and rescue experience, my military experience, my bivouacking experience, all these, and then just Boy Scout experience from when I was a kid. All these things are being brought together. That's hopeful logic. I hope I'll go out there and I don't get my truck stuck. Hopefully, right, is that I know, but again, I'm not a hope guy. Is that I've got recovery gear. I've got radios. I've got all these different things. So I I don't leave chance to just hopeful logic, is that I've prepared for myself for it. Even though I'm new at it, I've got enough experience at, off-roading and so forth, that I'm okay there. It's just getting the equipment and the necessities and finding out really what I need and what I don't need. Youthful logic. It's young logic. It's that you just don't have enough years on your feet to take and have a lot of chances to build up that gut instinct or that logic. That's okay. Just admit it. Own it that you're youthful, but you can't stay at the youthful point forever. And then rushed logic. This is a deadly one. Is Chris and I talk about this all the time. This is people that come in. There's two or three situations. I'll share two that I think are probably the most evident in business. Is they come into business, they're rushed. They want to take and just be at, go from A to Z overnight. They want to go from making nothing to, bringing in six figures in a very, very short time frame. And there's people that have done it. There really are. But that's very, very unusual. I always go back to a conversation I had with a young man. He comes on the podcast every once in a while still. And he said, hey, man, I got 6 months. I got to be up to my old earnings. I got to make about $200,000 a year. I said, boy, that's going to be tough. And he kind of argued the point with me. And then I think it was a year or two later, he's actually on the podcast and he goes, yeah, I was that guy. And I kind of got truth serum. It's like it did take me a lot longer, but I'm having fun and I'm building the business up and it's cool. Well, that's great because now he's going back and he's using a little wisdom within his logic, and it was rushed. So the other illustration is people come in, and this is a second career, and they come in and they're top dog in their old career, and they come into this industry. They're brand new. I mean, you might have some experience, weekend experience. You're doing this, you're doing that. Whatever it may be. But the thing is, they want to go from being top dog in their industry to top dog in this industry, and it doesn't work that way. You got to pay your dues, and sometimes your past industry, it will help you the best if you use logic and you're patient. And the rush, it kills a lot of people. Then there's something that's called worn out logic, and that's when people are old school, and they don't have to be old to do this. I see people in their 20s and 30s that have got worn out logic. Is that they're set in their ways. They have a way they do it, and they're never going to take and allow anybody else to teach them otherwise. It's worn out logic, man. You're like an old bath towel. It just doesn't absorb water anymore. It's worn out. Then there's delayed logic. Delayed logic is not acting on things. You're really kind of skeptical. I can be guilty of this sometimes. Guilty of that this week a little bit on something, but you can overanalyze it and sometimes you just need to logically look at it, put it down on paper, pros and cons, and then take action. Sound logic, that's balanced. I like sound logic. Is that sound logic is somebody that's really, they're just sound. They look at all the sides, 360 degrees. And that's tough to do. That's probably not my strong suit, is 360 degree logic. Is that I look at people that are very patient. I've got a couple of people that software guys. So we got Jody and Michael. Jody from Road FS and Michael from Your Able. I would say that both of those professionals have very sound logic. They're very well developed in their logic, and they see things from a lot of different perspectives. Developed logic is what we do as we make our way through life, through business, through career, through an industry, through challenges, through task, through hobbies. All these different things is we develop the logic. I think this is really, really valuable. Take a sip of water. I think that being able to develop logic is really key in recognizing that you have to develop logic, because you're going to come across new situations. You're going to get new interest. Hopefully you get new interest your entire life. I think new interest, it keeps my soul alive. It keeps my heart alive. It keeps me fresh. As I wake up and I think about these new things that I've never had in my life, and these fun things. And yeah, I'm not good at it, but I can get good at it. And the challenge of learning. And again, it opens up the mind. And I just think it opens up your soul. And I think that you got to be able to take and practice that developed logic to be good at all the other logics and everything else you do. Then there's practical logic. There's a lot of people with just good practical sense logic. I think that that's one of my strong suits, is just practical logic. And then seasoned logic. This is somebody that's been around. Again, doesn't have to be age. That's just been around long enough to where I always say it, there's 20-year vets doing it like 1-year rookies, and there's 1-year rookies doing it like 20-year vets. Is that you can take and be seasoned because you watch the mistakes and the successes of others, and you're trainable, you're coachable. Is you have mentors, you listen, watch, observe, and pivot as needed. I think that's really, I'm looking out in the distance, like, it's like, what the hell am I doing? But season logic is something that I think that really, if you can get there, and I hate to say it, you'll go back when you arrive at seasoned or the next one, logic, and you'll realize just how much you didn't know. And I think when you get to that spot, you're at that spot. And then the last category of logic is wise logic. Wise logic takes some time. And, I always share the story about Carol Shelby. And most people that I know that are wise are 50 plus years old. And I'm not just saying that because I'm 50 plus years old. That's through my entire life experiences, that in search and rescue, the military, horses, off-roading, martial arts. Our sensei, still to this day, if you walked in here, not a big guy, I can out hit him anytime. I can outpower him anytime. He'd have me on the ground before I could even say his name. It's wise logic when he fights. So those are the different categories that comes to mind that I think that you need to be concentrating on. Now, logic comes at all stages of life and business. You're going to develop it more and more. Here's a list of items where I really feel that it's really important to use really strong logic. And a lot of these are just things that people move on that were kind of bred into us as kids. Young.
Before you dive into that list, can I share something that I had come across? It was a Dale Carnegie quote. And it kind of applies here. It says, when dealing with people, remember you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but creatures of emotion. And I think part of the point there is that all these tools of logic that you're talking about are developed, that they're not standard. No. We don't come to the factory with them, with them.
No. I can't remember the brain's ability when we're born, but it's like there's 22 possible languages that we're kind of pre-wired for. And the first language we're exposed to, the first day we're born, even within the womb, that language starts to take priority. And so I don't think logic is developed that early. I think it takes a lot of life experiences. And I love that because emotion does play so much in our logic. Again, in my early days of business, I could sell myself on just about any service or opportunity. And I still look at that because I've learned a couple lessons to where for a while I let people get in my mind. They're like, oh, you'll bite into anything. You got so many ideas. And I was like, yeah, maybe I need to tone it down. And then I found out real quickly that was the worst thing I could do because it really changed who I am. And I just couldn't let people get into mine. I've got a situation like that in my life right now. I can't let anybody get into my mind. Know who I am and what I'm about. And emotions, Chris, you're so right. And Dale Carnegie, what an amazing, how much wisdom is there? How much wisdom in that and those, how many people can put those many words out there and impact so many for so long, even after you're gone, But wisdom, a lot of times, people are logic and wise logic needs to be used in so many different places in life. Now, life's big moves. That's number one, is listen, who you marry, when you marry, your decision to have children, your decision to move, all these big life, none of those were businesses. You didn't hear me say anything about a business. Is that it's your emotional tie-in. I once heard this, that, when you decide to have children, are you the type that really is it all about helping others grow? Is it having this just amazing desire to take and be everything to somebody for X amount of years? when that child's born. And I don't think a lot of people, I didn't look at it that way. You know, are you real nurturing? You know, are you a super nurturing person? And some people are, some people aren't. Some people, I call it, there's people that are nurturing. There's people that are builders, meaning that there's nurturing people and then there's builders. And I think it's completely different. But, you know, who you marry, when you marry, if you have kids, when you have kids, all those things are really, you've got to put logic into motion. And I've seen so many people in my life and in my own life, I'm not calling anybody out, calling myself out, that haven't used real logic. Because again, go back to the beginning of our list of logic, is they have no logic, or they've got youthful logic. They're just not preparing things. Now, some parents do a better job of building logic into kids. Some kids toss it out. And so all of us are different, but those life's big moves, you got to really think and use logic. And if you don't think that you've got enough logic on a topic, then you need to seek it out. You need to find people. There's people that will give you solid input. Be real careful who you give your ears to, though. And then health decisions, you know, is use logic. Is this good for me? You know, for instance, you know, we're in a society here in America and a lot of the world, we overwork. Well, right now, there's a lot of people that don't work. But entrepreneurs is, I once heard a quote, and I'm going to completely screw it up, but it's like, you know, entrepreneurs, the only people that give up a 40-hour job to work 80 hours a week. You know, your health concerns, how you eat, how you take care, your sleep patterns. You know, it's okay. I had a long day yesterday. I had a bitching day. Every once in a while they happen. Last week we had a lot of long days, but we had bitching days, you know, and I was able to get over to the gym. I was able to do things. I was able to read. I was able to visit with Diane. Diane and I had taken a trip the week before that. I've got some downtime now. So your health decisions, how you eat, how you sleep, your exercise, all that, what you expose yourself to, cigarettes, alcohol, all these different things, you've got to use logic. And a lot of people just don't. And then one of the most important ones, financial logic. I'm going to tell you right now, no matter what part of society, is that you want to take and put a relationship or a marriage in trouble. It's going to be financial or it's going to be sexual. And so financial logic is really, really important that you set that baseline. If you don't have a good foundation, then go get a good foundation. It's never too late. Partnerships. I'm not talking in marriage. I'm talking in business. Now we're kind of switching. Is, you know, they often say the only partnership that works is marriage, and that's at a 50-50 chance these days. And so you got to be really careful. And I'm not saying not to go into partnerships, but you really, really have got to be careful when you do it, and you've got to lay it out. Don't take anybody's word. You've got to lay it out. It's got to be on pen and paper. Everybody's got to have a true understanding of what's going on and what the mission was and what your original intent was within that partnership. Partnerships are really tough, so you got to use some logic. Opportunities. You've got a business. Let's say you get another opportunity. You got to make sure you got to use some logic to make sure that it's not going to take and screw up what you got going on right now. So use some logic on those opportunities. Business relationships, you've got to be, again, logic. Do you have the right relationship? Do you have the right people in your life? Do you have the right people in your company? And do you have the right people, wrong button, the wrong seat? You might be putting a great person, but they're not doing the right thing. Or people, they don't even know what seat they're supposed to be in. Is you've got to learn, you've got to take logic into those business relationships. And then tolerances is that you've got to set tolerances in your personal life, in your relationships, your business relationships, and your in your own business. Is that, you know, is your business, are you running your business or your business running you? Is your marriage, do you guys need help and you're in trouble? Is your car, your tolerances, is your car ready to die and you're just so busy you've got to use it within your business. You don't want to take downtime, but if it does go down, it's going to be astronomical and more expensive. All these different tolerances, you've got to set where your tolerances are going to go, and believe it or not, using logic to that. Procrastination is you've got to be really careful in procrastination. Is you're either going to go too fast or too slow. You got to find that happy medium. Industry events. Why put logic to industry events? So many people, there's so much good that comes out of all of the industry events that go on in all industries right now. There's a lot of pressure on people that are new to the industry, or maybe they got a young family, or maybe they just bought their first shop and they're making a mortgage. Is that, are you going to the events with the right priorities, and are you using logic to go spend that money? Now, these events, yeah, they can make you money. They're awesome. They are just beyond the networking and so forth is priceless, but you got to take and use logic to see if you're going to be okay.
This day this day and age, it's more important than ever to get together with people in person. I mean, all the time we spend on social media, it's not always a positive thing. And so getting together in person certainly helps fix that. But there's also no, there's no, I don't know, the whole idea of just being there and learning from people, meeting people, the relationship building, that's super important to your business. That's what's going to happen at events, industry events. Building those relationships is going to be key to your success moving forward.
Absolutely. Go back to 2004. I went to Mobile Tech. I didn't really meet anybody. I was kind of just, I was in a different, I don't know, I was in a different spot, right? We were so busy in the business, but I went down there. I think I only spent a day. I don't know if they had education days. I just walked the floor and then left. I had a job down there in Florida. So I went, and I didn't go back until 2006. And 2006 was, Chris, to your point, was a game changer. I met Jim Gogan, so many different, Keith DuPlessis, so many different people, Prentice St. Clair, the list goes on. Dave Hammer, a guy named Dave Hammer, still around the industry. I see Dave on social media and stuff, just different people. Paul Apollonia, Paul's a great friend, still very active. I can go on and on. Mark Johnson, was there in 2006. So look at the names I just threw out. These are lifelong friends, and I'm cutting some of them out. But we started having, sit downs and really talking. And I want to tell you, it really changed the industry, and it changed my life for sure. But there's a couple years, 2008, I remember, was kind of a tough year. 2009, I think. I don't even know if it was 2008, but there's a couple years that we skipped, and I didn't always go because, I had a young family. I had, kids in school, and then we had the economy kind of crash. Well, not totally crash. And so we prioritized again. I used logic if I wanted to go or not. And then finally it got to a point where it's like, man, I can't miss 2 in a row. And then it went from, okay, I can't miss any, so we decided we put logic to it. And so logic to your expansion, expansion logic. Are you growing? Are you growing at, so many people grow fast, but there's a natural pathway to growth and expansion. There's a natural pathway to increasing the size of your company, not your profits. You can increase your profits without growing. That's probably for a whole nother one, but you can increase your profits greatly without bringing a single new client on, if you're doing it right. And we've done it in several of our businesses. And so it's not that. It's about, it's scalable, making sure so many people, they get onto something. They got a hot ticket. They got a hot thing going on right now, and they just go balls out. And the natural pathways, it's just, the logic isn't there, and they flame out. They're out, lose full power. Everything's out. And so when you expand, you got to use some logic to that. And then this is a big one. This is me right here. Want versus need logic. If it's got wheels on it and tire and there's an engine involved, the logic goes out the door. Is it always has with me, always will, all the way back to bicycles and everything else. So I've got to look at that, when I'm looking at purchasing things, is that, I'm using some logic. Is can I write it off? Is it an asset? Is it going to take and am I going to be able to A, make money at it, or B, is there a tax advantage to it? And so if it's not an asset, I got to look really hard. And that's really what I do is I count on my accountants, and I'll say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And they'll tell me how I can write it off, or no, straight out, or yeah, that's a good idea. And so you've got to look at that. So again, assets versus liabilities logic. It's right there. You got to think about that. And that's something that, again, if it's motorized, I got that. That's my hang up right there, man. That's my Achilles. And lifestyle versus damaging yourself logic is that so many people, again, see the hustle and grind, and I totally dig it, man. I really do. You're going to have to. And there's times I just work my booty off, right? And I dig it. I love it. But if you don't have some downtime and rest time and you make that average, you're going to burn out, and then we're going to go back up as health decisions, logic health wise. You got to remember, did you start your company to work? I mean, you left the job that you hated, couldn't stand your boss, wanted to be your own boss, hated going in 40 hours a week. And now you got a boss that pushes you nonstop, demands that you work 6-7 days a week, 12 hours a day, on a light day, missing family events, missing your hobbies. You can't go bowl in the league anymore. Can't go to the gym. Your kids can't stand you. Your wife doesn't know who you are. You're gaining weight at an alarming level. The boss is you. That boss is you. And so you've got to use that logic against yourself every once in a while. So, we could go really on and on, dig real deep into this. I wanted to keep this kind of at a baseline and just kind of get your brain thinking about logic and how to use it. And again, all I'm doing is making some suggestions here. You're going to have to make some decisions on your own. So, Chris, you got anything to add to this? This is going to be a nice, to the point and out of here type of thing. We're at the end of the year. 'Tis the season. Oh, ho, ho.
That last part, that last part kind of hit me. I did escape it was a family-owned business, but kind of a corporate job at the same time, right? It was, and I couldn't take it anymore. And you start your own thing up and you get into that, but before you know it, you've made yourself feel the same way because of the demands that you put on yourself as your own boss, Yep. And you ended up just putting yourself in the same situation.
Yep.
It's that one hit home for me. So
logic, I'm telling you right now, there's an on and off switch to your lifestyle and that shit. And you've just got to learn to shut it down. Part of that too is that stop taking and bringing a sledgehammer to a conversation, because so many people to get in. And I think it's a very, for me, when I see somebody blow up somebody's day or night when it didn't have to be done, or they're being just ruthless with their statements. They're being pushy. They're being, just nonstop. It's about them. That tells you something about that person. Shut them down. You don't have them. I don't have the mental capacity, and it doesn't mean that I don't want to fill my head with their nonsense. I don't have room for it. Is that I want to, what's important, man, is,
Yeah.
your family, people you love. If you've got parents around still, I'd give anything to be able to just call my mom right now when I'm off the podcast and tell her how much I love her and how fun I had and all the planning last night, and show her the pictures I took, and, just do these things. Can't do it. So do that with the people that mean a lot to you. And you know what? You have no one else to blame, because that on-off switch is just like a light, just like a switch on the wall. It's your choice to go over and shut it down calmly and neatly, and just set some parameters for yourself. One of the things that Chris and I are doing is, I try really nowadays from about 8 to 4 is when business is conducted. And every once in a while we'll have to go, this morning a little earlier. We'll have to go a little later, but really I try to just keep it in a very, and no toxic conversations, after like 3. I don't rain down shit on people on Friday. I don't rain down shit on people going into a holiday. I just won't do it. Even if it's on my mind, I want to get it off. I'm not going to destroy their weekend or their holiday for my selfish needs. Yeah, maybe they're an asshole. Maybe they're out of line. But I know how it is to have somebody shit all over you going into an evening with family, or going into a weekend, or going into a holiday. Not going to be that guy. I'll hold off. I'll decompress. I'll write my notes down, and I reach over and I turn the switch off, because you can control it. And, it's easy to say, right? There's hot buttons for me that I struggle with, that, I can't get past, but it's not too common, is because I've learned to take and just hit that switch off. Here's the good thing. It's not life or death. Nobody's going to die over it. You're not a fireman. You're not a paramedic. You're not a police officer. You're not search and rescue. You're not military. You're not sleeping in a freaking hole and sand and God knows where, is that you can get rid of that burden by turning it off. It will still be there tomorrow. It won't be any bigger. Matter of fact, you'll probably deal with it a lot better, and life's going to be a lot happier, and you're going to put a lot of smiles on your face. So we had a situation last night happen, kind of blew our night up a little bit. I really didn't let it get to me. I immediately left and went and had dinner with my wife. And when I came home, I felt so good. And this morning, it all worked out. It was fine. It was fine. Wasn't that big, but you got to learn, turn it off, and not abruptly, not being mean, not being vengeful, calmly. Be cool with the fact that you got the power, you got the self-confidence, you got the awareness, you're a happy dude or dudette, and I'm just going to turn it off, and I'll turn this back on tomorrow when they're not eating up my time. That makes sense, Chris? You and I are not good. We're not good at that.
It makes, well, I'm really bad at it. I'm just not good at it. I'm bad at it. So, you know what
I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a little switch. I'm going to go to Home Depot and just get a little electrical box, and I'm going to come up with a creative name, and I'm just going to put on off, and I'm going to tell you, okay, go to your switch and turn it off. Turn it off to the off mark, right? You have to hold each other accountable. Chris and I know we're both emotional creatures. How's that playing to logic? Sometimes not very good.
No, well, as Dale Carnegie just told us, it doesn't work out,
Does it? So just learn to turn it off. It's pretty cool. It's a cool tool when you can learn to use it. It's taken me a long time to be able to. 90% of the time, I can turn things off. 10% of the time, there's some stuff that you just can't. Even in all the traumas and everything else. I mean, I taught combat life saving for a while. I was an associate instructor, and we'd really stress these soldiers out. They're going overseas, and it was really interesting because we make it as lifelike as we could, right? And you'd see the stress on people's faces, and we do that just to prepare them for it, and you could see, I'd have people, you could just see that, and we go over and talk to them, and nothing was real, nothing there is real, but what they could get into would be. So we're trying to prepare them for it. And so the better you can prepare yourself for situations where logic is needed, the better out you're going to come out of it.
Yep. Backing up a little bit fun here, backing up to the logic surrounding industry events. One last thing to share is, Mobile Tech's coming up, and I think you and I could probably agree that if you have to make decisions and use logic and pick just one event to go to, one industry trade show, this is probably the one right now.
Yeah, I think so. SEMA's cool. It's big, but I think we get more one-on-one time with each other. It's a cool show.
Yep. Well, and there's different parts about it that make it cool, right? Like Education Day. So, we're going to be there. Education Day is on Thursday the 26th, and we've got you lined up to do two different presentations. The first one is kind of a presentation workshop on client compounding, which we have done a podcast on that before, but we're going to do this one in person. And then at 4:00, you're doing the keynote at Mobile Tech. Make yourself unbeatable is the topic. So if you guys are coming, make sure you get there for Education Day, because that's actually one of the most valuable days to be there. So,
it is the most valuable day. And let me tell you, the people that are there that are speaking, it's always been really good. But now we're at a whole nother level. Hey, also, we just wrote the final check, so to say, to SEMA, the detailing industry, $5,000, I think it was, wasn't it, Chris? That we earned for SEMA Cares, a nonprofit for children. So, and about 4,500 that came from Mafia members is donating. Brian Crosby made a huge donation, with Dynamic. I've got that bottle right back in the back. You can see a sign. We'll tell that story another time. We should have got Brian on and told it, but yeah, pretty cool. So, hey, next week is that simple message, the best gift you can give. It's going to be our last one for the year. I doubt we'll do one between Christmas and Thanksgiving, or Christmas and New Year, excuse me. And we'll see. But I will come to you. I'm still going to go Sunday messages. I appreciate those that tune in for those and all the responses we get. Like always, man. Hey, if you dig this, you didn't dig it, send us your message. We like to hear from you. Mine is Renny, RENNY, at detailingsuccess.com. Chris is Chris at detailingsuccess.com. Future, we're going to change things up. We're going to have a open question podcast coming up in 2023, where we take your suggested questions. You can ask them to us, and we're going to answer them on the podcast. We'll spend about an hour doing that. So, well, Chris, I'm going to get out of here and make yourself have everybody, Chris, especially you, have a powerful day today. All of you, thanks for coming in. We really do appreciate you. We know your time is valuable, and we hope these are valuable to us. Always, share this, like it, and tell others about it. We sure appreciate it. That's how we grow. We don't have sponsors on this thing. It's Chris and I and Double Black, and we could take and do a lot of stuff, and we don't. So all right, guys. Hey, take care, and we sure appreciate all of you for being here. For those that will be up north this weekend, we'll see you then. For those that will be at Christmas dinner and Corona, we'll see you then. For those going to Mobile Tech, we will see you then. Take care. Have a great rest of your week. In case I don't see you next week, if you're not able to make it on, Merry Christmas to you, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Chris, talk to you in a bit.
Yep. See you guys later. Have a good one.